Stugotz here for forhims.com. Man, getting old stinks. It really does. I'm getting up there in age. Hair starting to fall out. It is an absolute mess. Did you know that 66% of men lose their hair by the age of 35? Thing is, when you start to notice hair loss, it's too late. Do you want a bald spot to pop up, or do you want to do something about it first? That's why you need to visit forhims.com, a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, and other wellness supplements for men. Genius. Thanks to science, baldness can be optional. Hims connects you with real doctors and medical-grade solutions to treat hair loss. They have well-known generic equivalents to the name-brand prescriptions to help you keep your hair. No snake oil pills or gas station counter supplements. Instead, prescription solutions backed by science. No waiting room, no awkward doctor visits. Save hours by going to forhims.com. Just answer a few quick questions. The doctor will review your answers and give you a prescription, and products are shipped directly to your door. It is that easy. It is that convenient. It is awesome. Order today, and our listeners get a trial month of Hims for just $5 while supplies last. See website for full details. This would cost hundreds if you went to the doctor or a pharmacy. Go to forhims.com/Lebitard. That's forhims.com/Lebitard. forhims.com/Lebitard.
Get your dad the Father's Day gift he really wants. SpiritedGifts.com makes it easy to send him his favorite brands of tequila, bourbon, and scotch. Make your gift a true trophy for Dad by adding a custom engraving to the bottle. Visit SpiritedGifts.com/Dan for free gift wrapping and other special offers.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
We've got two fairly amazing stories to get to. The way that Roseanne lost her popular television show ties into the sports story of the day, which is the president of the 76ers in real trouble right now, losing his job over something intergalactically stupid. Allegations around circumstantial evidence. The Ringer is reporting that he had several fake Twitter accounts where he would praise himself and rip his players. We will get to that in a second, but I cannot believe that this question, which is more than 25 years in the making, has not occurred to me until today. You have heard me say before that the home run off of the head of Jose Canseco is the single greatest play in the history of sports.
Yep.
And a texter writes in, Dan, how was the greatest play of all time, the homer off of Canseco's coconut, a home run and not an error? It's been more than 25 years.
Wow.
I never considered it. Guillermo, please put it on the poll. The home run off of Jose Canseco's head more than 25 years ago, home run or error? Because he was running back and it just bounced off of the top of his head. It wasn't the easiest play in the world, but it was a play I've never seen before, in that the clumsiness was so extraordinary that a ball ricocheted off his head the way one of those supermarket rubber balls would bounce around your house, like a baseball, which is very hard, hit him on the top of the head, and doing, like if there was a sound here. What's a sound here that I can find on our...
There's a doing sound. There you go.
Yeah, like that, right? Like, there you go. So Jose Canseco's running back in right field, and the ball's very high in the air, and that's gotta hurt, right? A ball falling from that height, even if it's not a line drive, falling from that height, and then hitting your head, and then going over the fence. How's that not an error?
I'm watching it now. It is absolutely an error, and they need to take a homer away from Carlos Martinez. I'm watching it now. I mean, that ball does not go out. If not for Jose Canseco's head, it went right past his glove and right to his head. He had every chance to catch that ball. Didn't he? Now, how would that have been ruled? Like, what happens there? Does he still get to go all the way around the bases?
Yeah, it was a home run.
But he doesn't get an official home run, right?
It would, right. It would forever be, you should do that in your personal record book. In the personal record book that you are actually negotiating with publishers, plural.
In the personal record book, Carlos Martinez only has 24 career home runs.
Done.
We should get Carlos Martinez on to discuss it with Jose Canseco, except every time we reach out to Jose Canseco, he asks for money to be interviewed.
Yes.
That's always where that falls apart.
Lots of money.
Do you remember we did a remote one time right after all that steroid stuff? Jose Canseco came out and met us at a golf course.
I do remember, yes. Very excited.
How long ago was that?
It must have been like 13 years ago.
We paid him for that, right? Because he doesn't show up anywhere unless he's paid.
Damn, we got an hour of him at a golf course. Yes, we paid him for that. A lot.
All right, so the big story in sports today, and this is crazy. Everything I'm about to say to you is nuts. First of all, in 2018, journalism and sports content machines have to be very grateful for the social media because it's producing endless content for us between games. We have more sports news networks than we have sports news, so we just spend a lot of time searching Twitter accounts. But one of the things that's amazing about this story is usually, as shocking as it might be, that borderline millennial Kevin Durant would have burner accounts where he argues with his critics. Usually the people doing this are not 52 years old. They're usually not the executives in an organization. But the Ringer has found a lot of circumstantial evidence, and the 76ers are now conducting an independent investigation because this is not nonsense. The 76ers have now, it was already news, and now it's been made more news because the 76ers have to investigate this. And if it's true, my guess is this person who is now in charge of the process will probably lose his job if it's true.
Colangelo is denying the Ringer story. In fact, Woj just reported that he's actively reaching out to individuals mentioned in those burner accounts, insisting that he isn't responsible for the tweets.
Right. He reached out to Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid has told Woj, hey, he called me, and if what he's saying is not true or if what the report is saying is true, this is very bad.
I don't like the fact that Colangelo is reaching out to Embiid so quickly and reaching out to everyone. No, seriously, like if you're not guilty of anything, just sit back and let the facts play out.
Like you would, right? Yeah, right. You wouldn't defend yourself. You would go straight into hiding. Yeah. The number of times that you have made an argument for a sports figure going against lawyer advice to defend himself because he's not guilty. Yeah. Why don't you keep track of anything you say?
Oh, why should I? I mean, I never have. I never will. I mean, you want me to start now? I mean,
so Wright Thompson says this. As you see, Roseanne Barr, again, this is 2018. Roseanne Barr had a popular TV show. It broke all sorts of records when it returned because America's dumb and because we like the same things we've always liked. It's why we keep making the same movies and we've run out of ideas. It's why CBS is continuing to put on Murphy Brown and Magnum P.I. Because we've just we're surprised that, some of our jobs are going overseas, but we've hit a dead end on ideas.
That's precisely why CBS's primetime lineup looks exactly the same as it did in 1986.
And it's also why we've had 4,000 Fast and Furiouses. Just give us the same thing. I think the Predator's making a return soon. What is the greatest indictment that we can make of just bringing back nostalgia? What would be the greatest example of we've run out of ideas? I'll take your nominees at 786-456-4837.
So excited about this Predator movie. Yeah. So excited. Key from Key and Peele. Seeing what Jordan Peele did with his solo career, has decided he's attaching himself to the Predator franchise. Shane Black, who was one of the original crew members in the original Predator, is at the helm of this movie. And Dan, it actually takes place a couple years after the events of Predator 2, where Danny Glover was fighting the Predator in the middle of the LA gang riots.
Predator 2 was one of Predator 2 was one of the most unspeakably bad things I've ever seen, and I say that as someone who was obsessed with the original Predator.
I'm just super excited to learn that it exists in the same universe, and maybe Danny Glover makes a return. Who knows?
Okay, first of all, if you're not familiar with the movie that we're talking about, it was amazing for a lot of different reasons. High on the list, but not highest on the list, is the fact that it produced not one but two United States governors. And at that time, I should have realized instantaneously, oh, that's where America got dumb, right there. In that movie, there is a 10-second scene in which Apollo Creed, who's got another name, Carl Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger shake hands, and they shake hands.
I believe he's Dylan in this movie because I remember Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, Dylan, right. You son of a...
Yes. They shook hands, and that handshake, you can look it up on the internet. It took 10 seconds because they just wanted to flex while shaking hands because both of them had giant arms. And spoiler alert, Apollo Creed at one point lost that arm, but it kept firing. It kept firing the gun even if it was disattached to his body. That's one of the many reasons that was a great movie.
It was Dylan.
Yeah. I like calling him Apollo Creed because I like imagining him in the wilderness in those, Coming to America shorts. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Coming to America, the red, white, and blue satin shorts.
It's not Coming to America. It's only in America. Coming to America would be totally different shorts.
It's living in America.
Thank you, Roy.
Yeah.
It was
so the assault rifle that was attached to the arm.
That's a number of different fines.
I mean, you own like $35 this segment.
I'm picturing the assault rifle now in the hand of a boxing glove.
Right. With Chubb Peterson's hand.
I want you to imagine the rest of his. You want to imagine him wearing a big red, white, and blue top hat in the jungle.
It's not even the Predator that's killing him. It's Drago now.
Oh my God!
Spoiler alert.
But we will get to how stupid America is and how stupid Twitter is next.
This is your bedroom. This is your bedroom with Blue Chew. Blue Chew uses the same active ingredients as in Viagra or Cialis, but now comes in chewable form. Chewable means better, cheaper, and works faster than pills. No in-person doctor visit, no waiting in line, no more awkwardness. 100% online at BlueChew.com, where your first order is free. Just pay $5 shipping. Use promo code DAN at BlueChew.com and restart the party.
Dan Le Batard.
You're announcing that you will not announce that they are a good team until they've won back-to-back.
Yeah.
But because you are taking away all of Kevin Durant's championships in your personal record book,
right,
you are never allowing him to win them back-to-back, even if they win them back-to-back, thus securing that you never have to identify them as a great team.
Correct.
Stugotz.
I hate when I wander around in your head and see all the empty spaces and the tumbleweed blown around in it.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So Roseanne lost her hit TV show yesterday. She is blaming Ambien for tweets that were racist. That was a bit stunning, even in today's climate, how quickly that happened. And reports are that went right to the top of the company, and the top of the company was like, yeah, we ain't having that. And proof positive, like that is real power that Roseanne had, and real power that Roseanne threw away with a sentence, because I was surprised at how quickly that happened. Usually, if you have value, you can weather some of those storms. But Roseanne did something racist on Twitter and lost her hit television show.
I think a lot of people not following are asking what kind of value could she possibly have. That show was billing $40 million and on the path to bill $60 million as a sitcom. I mean, that's a lot of money.
She had made quite the stunning comeback in 2018. But in keeping with what we were talking about, which is, again, if you're just joining us, the president of the 76ers is in trouble, because the president of the 76ers evidently, according to circumstantial evidence and The Ringer, evidently, and we continue to say evidently, was running fake accounts that were criticizing his players and praising himself. He is 52 years old. And Wright Thompson, Amin sent me this because Twitter is something that is remarkably foolhardy for the famous in terms of risk versus reward. Stugotz has the right idea on Twitter. He just goes there and retweets praise and grabs the hearts and is very careful when it comes to Twitter misbehavior.
Yep.
And so this is what Wright Thompson says for why he got out of Twitter. And keep in mind, Roseanne just lost a giant platform and opportunity because of Twitter. And Bryan Colangelo's in real trouble as the Philadelphia 76ers launch an independent investigation like we haven't seen. This guy has the future of basketball playing under him. And maybe because of Twitter and because of the need, the vanity, the ego, the things that people need, people trying to be funny on Twitter or trying to defend themselves from the shadows. This is what Wright Thompson said for why he got off of Twitter. Twitter is stupid and I will never get back on. What is the value of being right on the internet? Even if you do win an argument, who cares? And every single person, me and you included, are the distillation of our worst selves on Twitter. I don't get why I have to give people access to my pocket. I don't understand why anyone in the world just gets to mother bleep me and I get to read it on my own phone. Why would you do that? It's insane. There is nothing I miss about it, and I will never, ever get back on it. I've been trying to get everyone I know off Twitter. It doesn't help you in any way. It doesn't move the needle for traffic at all. Facebook does. Facebook can swing a presidential election. Twitter doesn't do anything except get you in trouble. Dude, if you got fired because of Twitter, first of all, you'd feel like the dumbest mother bleeper on to ever walk the face of the earth, and you'd be right. You would have killed the golden goose for nothing, for trying to be funny. That's why Roseanne killed her golden goose. A 52-year-old not understanding the dangers of burner accounts, even after Kevin Durant had public shame with these fake accounts, is a generational divide, but it's also an insecurity that I am not used to seeing amid 52-year-olds in the social media age.
In that competitive environment, though, where you have fans on a daily basis saying Sam Hinkie's responsible for this, you can't see a guy at that age being sensitive to that? I'm not defending
No,
it.
I understand how human beings can be insecure. If Kevin Durant, after winning the championship, feels the need to be defiant on Twitter and defend himself anonymously,
Right.
The part I don't get is why wouldn't Kevin Durant just defend himself not anonymously? Why wouldn't Kevin Durant put his name on everything just like Draymond Green does? Like, Who cares?
I got the trophy. I don't get, like, listen, you have trouble with how I went about getting my trophy. I've got the trophy. I've got the last laugh. You're right.
At least in the case of Kevin Durant, though, because of the age, I sort of understand it. Kevin Durant is someone who told us on Highly Questionable that as a young man, he used to come home and pray that he'd be shorter because he didn't want to be so tall, being made fun of by the kids. Those are insecurities, childhood stuff that people sometimes carry into young adulthood. It's just not something you see very often at 52 anymore.
Oh, no, I would disagree. I would say if you're insecure as a child, I could see that being carried throughout your entire life.
I'm not saying that you don't carry those scars into adulthood. I'm saying that as an adult, you are usually smarter to not have burner accounts with the need to defend yourself privately. I understand the insecurity. I also understand that if you rise to the level of president of the 76ers, you need to be obviously smarter than that. Like you need to know where your insecurities are and govern yourself accordingly. You can't have blind spots of I need to defend myself in a way that might get me fired. In a way, Stugotz, the Philadelphia 76ers have been building this thing atop many, many failures for many, many years. They haven't been this close in a long time because you'd rather have right now this team that they have going into the future than that Iverson team that made the finals.
No doubt.
This is the best thing the Sixers have had in basketball, the best feeling they've had in the 80s. It was gifted to this dude by basketball because basketball took the unprecedented action of stepping in for what they claimed was the incompetence of Sam Hinkie. And the place that you end up is that this guy is going to end up throwing this away if this is true, because I don't think you survive this. You can't be the president of those players when they know that's what you've been doing, and then everybody knows it. Like, this feels like something, if it can be proven by this investigation, is going to be a fireable offense, and you threw it away for what? For what? To argue with a couple of fans with your, accounts that have how many followers?
Right.
Like,
it's so odd. And
you simply don't understand what you're partaking in.
Correct. No idea. He has no idea, obviously, what he's partaking in. I mean, just to rip Markelle Fultz and praise yourself and being the guy that took Markelle Fultz, I mean, it's weird, man.
To defend your shirt collars.
Yes.
Yeah, He was defending his shirt collars. Tim Kirkson joins us now for the important question of the day. Tim, I can't believe it took me more than 25 years to ask it, but the ball that bounced off of Jose Canseco's head for a home run more than 25 years ago, why wasn't that ruled an error?
Because that was a hit, Dan. Sorry. That was not routine effort. He was not camped under that ball. He was moving backwards. It was not a simple play. Should have caught it, but there are a lot of plays where a guy doesn't catch it and it scored a hit. I've never seen in 40 years of covering baseball a 4-base error, which that would have been. If he had put his glove up and tried to catch it and it bounced off his glove and went over the fence, it would have been a home run, given that he was moving backwards on that play. The ball was over his shoulder. He wasn't standing there camped for it. It's a debatable play. I get it. But if I were the official scorer, I would have called it a hit, therefore a home run, and I don't think that's...
Why are you yelling at us about this? It was 25 years ago, and I could come back at you with it. Hit him on the top of the head.
And it's important, a hit or a homer? A hit or a homer?
You can, if you want to give him a hit and a 3-base error, that's fine.
Yep.
No, it's an all-or-nothing play, Dan. It's either a home run or it's a 4-base error. There's no other way to score that. I've been an official scorer before, and it was a really hard job.
Wow, really throwing your bona fides around. All right, we're going to have to get rid of him because he's cantankerous again. Thank you, Tim, once again. Unreasonable, moody, protecting your game and your official scoring. We'll talk to you later this week. I think he just hung up on us.
He did.
This show ain't free. Time for some ads.
We got to tell Human Resources that he's got a rage problem. Like, seriously.
All right.
I don't know how he gets away with it. He's a bully. The NBA Finals, they start this week. Oh, Guillermo, put it on the poll. Would the Warriors win the title if Steve Kerr were playing in a suit 15 minutes a night? The NBA Finals get started this week, and Buffalo Wild Wings is the place to see championship hoops. Tell them, Stugotz.
Yep, and sports fans always have to choose a side, which can get repetitive. So Buffalo Wild Wings wants to give you...
came out. Home Alone was actually in box office, 3 Men and a Little Lady, and also Dances with Wolves. Predator 2, I'm telling you, Danny Glover's an action hero. It was terrific. He was ahead of his time.
Why is he on here? Why?
He had a baseball question.
Why is he here? I don't understand why he's interrupting the Buffalo Wild Wings ad.
Don Le Batard.
Stugotz is disgusting.
Stugotz.
Yep.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
If we asked Kevin Durant, Stugotz, are you better than LeBron James? What do you think he would say? What do you think he thinks in his most honest moments?
I don't think Kevin Durant thinks he's better than LeBron James in honest moments.
I do. I think that Kevin Durant believes himself to be better, and I think Kevin Durant thought that this was going to go much differently because I think he thought that in winning championships, people would go that route. They'd say, oh, he does all the same things that LeBron does, and furthermore, he's probably a more gifted natural scorer because he's taller.
The path is very important in many people's eyes, and LeBron is getting a lot more praise for merely making it to the NBA Finals than Kevin Durant is for winning NBA championships.
That'll stop in 4 games, though.
We'll see.
No, that'll stop in 4 games.
I mean, people are calling this his greatest achievement,
Yeah,
LeBron.
They're calling it now, and I remember last year Paul Pierce asking on television, is Durant better than LeBron?
Right.
Like, when you win, we'll keep giving it to you, and history will change some of this. But while we're in it criticizing it, look, Stugotz, I've seen this too many times. You people in our audience did this to Michael Jordan, the older ones. You question him, and then you shut up. And he shut you up forever. And you've done it to LeBron in real time, even though he might be better than Michael Jordan. And you'll do it to Kevin Durant, as Stugotz has been doing it to Kevin Durant for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's over and Kevin Durant has 5 or 6 championships, we might have some perspective. But right now, Kevin Durant is literally living in the comment section.
Yeah.
And that's not going to go well for him, even as he wins the championship. Because one of the things that LeBron bought himself in winning is we all saw that it wasn't easy.
Mm-hmm.
All of us saw it wasn't easy.
Right.
And when you're watching Kevin Durant now and the Warriors, you're like, this is too easy.
Right. Well, plus he left a team that was already good, had a chance to beat that Warriors team.
But I'm just curious how he experiences all of this, because it doesn't seem to be with joy. It seems to be with defiance. And the only way that happens is if you're living in the comment section, because you win, dude. You win. It doesn't matter. The thing we're talking about on ESPN today, a lot of people are asking the criticism that Durant is getting, that he doesn't carry a team the way LeBron carries a team. And of course he doesn't. He went there specifically so he didn't have to do it that way anymore.
Right, but do you think Durant could take this Cavs team to an NBA Finals, take LeBron off of it, and insert Durant?
It's splitting hairs, Stugotz. Like, I happen to think LeBron...
I don't think he can.
But, okay, Okay, great, Stugotz. You don't think he can, and so we can't prove it. And what difference does it make whether you think he can or he can't? We can't prove it one way or the other. You have so much bias when it comes to Kevin Durant that you're going to always find the place to criticize him.
Listen, I'm just telling the truth, man. I'm not doing this for a fact.
It's not the truth. It's your truth.
It's my truth, right?
It's soaked in...
Well, who else's truth can I tell?
And it's soaked in bias.
I barely tell my own.
Which ceases to make it the truth. It's the truth of a liar. Like, what do we do with that?
I don't know.
I'm not saying you're making it up. You love ripping Kevin Durant.
Oh, boys. This is the best kind of debate. The debate you can't actually get an answer to. Would the Cavs have made it to the NBA Finals if they had Kevin Durant? I love it. I say no. You're next level, brother.
Stugotz still wants to do that show, man. I don't know how this ends, but it ends with Stugotz reverting back to doing that show.
Oh, sorry, guys. I've been away for a while because I don't know if you've paid attention to the sports media landscape over the last 3 weeks, but I have been fighting everybody on Jordan versus LeBron. It's been heaven. Oh, no. I mean, it's been hell. Glorious.
I completely agree with the demon. This is the best kind of debate. There's no losers. No one can be proven wrong. I just like throwing up all the good things about everybody. We can see how great everybody is. No one has to lose. There's no losers here.
Oh, you just wait till 4 games from now, though. There'll be a definitive loser because guess what? Warriors in 4. Warriors in 4. What do you have there? Warriors in 4?
I thought you were going to take this up with the Angel of New.
I don't want his opinion on anything.
As far as I'm concerned, they're both champions already. Eastern Conference and Western Conference champions.
My favorite part of your Angel of Nuance impersonation is the way that your seat bobs up and down because you're actually pretending to float. You're getting better. I've missed you guys. Where the hell have you been?
While.
Where's the demon of debate and the angel of nuance?
Well, I told you, I've been fighting on Jordan and LeBron. And also, there's this Eric Jr. guy on Twitter that's all of a sudden all about the Sixers. He would not shut up in my mentions. I've been fighting with him and about 4 of his pals. I'm investigating it. Time for Dan to reluctantly take part in something Stugotz couldn't be happier doing.
So we settled that?
I have some news for you in the next segment that I haven't shared that is going to lead to a fight between you and me because you're going to want to do something that I don't want to do.
Oh, boy.
Tell me, is it the Patriots dynasty over? Please. You see Tom Brady out in Monaco? Come on.
I did. He was throwing a football from his ship to someone else's ship, and not surprisingly, there on the French coast, he was also throwing it to a tiny white person.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like a whole new person.
Disclaimer, you will not become a whole new person. This is impossible. You might be able to join a gym or diet program, buy a new wardrobe, get hair implants, but your DNA and physical form will remain the same. Geico waives any and all liability if you attempt to become a new person, except a cyborg. If you choose to become a half-human, half-cybernetic organism with lasers for eyes, the Geico legal team would be cool with that, because, quote, laser eyes are pretty sweet. Pew, 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 end quote.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Dan Le Batard.
It is an honor to be here. Seeing Poppy in person, you're like a Cuban Yoda. You're wonderful.
Really?
And also you have a normal-shaped head, which is nice to see, because it begs the question, though, what the heck happened to you, Dan Le Batard?
Thank you, Jim. Stugotz.
America, his head starts off okay at the top, and then by the time it hits his ears, it expands out for some
Well,
reason.
yes, that's the calories, usually, yeah.
That's you have the world's only apple-bottom skull. As the kids say, it's THICC thick, my friend, so good on you.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Guillermo, can you put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show? Does Colangelo survive the day with his job? I don't think he's going to survive the show with his job.
Really?
I think these things are very easy to prove. And the only way that he survives the day with his job, I think, is if somehow there is some confusion and there can be some reasonable doubt about whether all of this circumstantial evidence is something that can't be held against him.
They hired a independent firm, right, to investigate this. So, listen, here's the deal. I think it goes later than the show and probably later than just one day because these firms like to run up the clocks. They really do. I like to get paid. I just look at Ted Wells.
He got paid like $5 million, right, for Deflategate when all he did was go to a high school physics class.
Yes.
Look how pleased Stugotz is.
Oh, I'm not.
Like, no, what do you mean you're not? You're moving away from the microphone.
I'm uncomfortable today. My back hurts. That's why.
That's why you were smiling and looking into the other room, wanting to get all the applause and laughter?
Listen, when I say something that makes the guys smile, I smile. We enjoy each other's success. That's what we do.
I know. Then why did you just say that my back hurts?
Well, that's why I was moving. I was smiling, but I'm moving away and moving around a lot because my back hurts a lot. I mean, too many balls on the range yesterday.
I don't know what to do with the following. First Take actually wants us to do this more often with them, where we stop what we're doing and we go and argue with Max and Stephen A.
Right.
On First Take. I know what you want to do. You want to be on First Take as much as possible doing their show. Mm-hmm. But we don't get to do our show on their show. They're doing their show, and all that gets diluted is our show.
Right. Right. Well, do you feel like we did our show, the one appearance we did? You don't at all? At any level?
No, we secretly did the show that you've always wanted to do.
Right.
We talked for 10 minutes about whether the Warriors are the best team ever.
Oh, that was fun. Good times. And you don't think over time we could eventually, our show will
which they are.
You don't think eventually over time we could arrive at a place where it feels like our show just invading their show a little bit?
We stopped everything what we were doing. We couldn't even play our commercial rejoins. We stopped everything we were doing to go answer for 10 minutes the question. I'm telling you, this is where Stugotz and I break up. Like this is the spot where all of it comes crashing down. Stugotz secretly wants to be doing that show, has been trying to angle in every way possible to get that show, and this is another move toward getting that show.
I just want to help out the folks at First Take and ESPN. So here's what I suggest.
Not so much that you would fly up there and do their show.
Let's try it out for 6 or 7 months and see how it goes.
What does the audience think, Mike? What do you think the audience wants?
I think the audience would probably say no on this. I don't really know.
I don't know.
I don't really know how it was perceived as a one-off. I'm sure it was fine, but to, with any sort of semi-regularity, just stop doing our radio show so we can do a segment of First Take that'll then be simulcast on the radio.
There's nothing surprising about Stugotz wanting the thing that's best for Stugotz, which is just... yes, of course, Dan. Let's all stop everything that we normally do. Everyone gets shoved out of the way. I get to argue with Max and Stephen A. Stugotz came to me before the show and we were talking about Tony Reale wants to be on Highly Questionable. I don't know whether I'm allowed to mention any of this, but it's too late now.
No, Around the Horn tweeted it out yesterday where he's saying he'd be interested in getting on Highly Questionable, and I was going to pressure you, and this is not you, but hey, we have some leverage now to get me on Around the Horn. So Tony... Now, you have to be on my side on this, and I don't feel like you are, but you have to say, Tony, hey, I'll get you on HQ. You get Stugotz on Around the Horn. And it's a fair trade-off right there if you want to flex some muscle for me. If you don't, I understand. We'll still be friends. We'll move on together.
I don't know what to do about the fact that Around the Horn simply refuses at every turn to have you on. It's not like they're unaware of your desire to be on that show.
I've made it pretty clear.
I mean, so... I don't know what to do with that. Around the Horn clearly doesn't want you anywhere near their show.
Maybe if Reale comes down here, you can butter him up some more. I mean, he's in control of that show. He mutes people. He keeps track of the score. It's basically his show he's running.
Right. I'm not going to be able to butter him up. Dan's going to have to flex his power. That's it. I'm telling. This is my. And Dan doesn't have to do it. It's fine. But Dan's going to have to tell him, hey, listen, you want HQ, Stugotz and Around the Horn. That's it.
I just love that Stugotz went from what Reale wants to what can I.
Stugotz here for forhims.com. Man, getting old stinks. It really does. I'm getting up there in age. Hair starting to fall out. It is an absolute mess. Did you know that 66% of men lose their hair by the age of 35? Thing is, when you start to notice hair loss, it's too late. Do you want a bald spot to pop up, or you want to do something about it first. That's why you need to visit forhims.com, a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, and other wellness supplements for men. Genius! Thanks to science, baldness can be optional. Hims connects you with real doctors and medical-grade solutions to treat hair loss. They have well-known generic equivalents to the name-brand prescriptions to help you keep your hair. No snake oil pills or gas station counter supplements. Instead, prescription solutions backed by science. No waiting room, no awkward doctor visits. Save hours by going to forhims.com. Just answer a few quick questions. The doctor will review your answers and give you a prescription, and products are shipped directly to your door. It is that easy. It is that convenient. It is awesome. Order today, and our listeners get a trial month of Hims for just $5 while supplies last. See website for full details. This would cost hundreds if you went to the doctor or a pharmacy. Go to forhims.com/Lebitard. That's forhims.com/Lebitard. Forhims.com/Lebitard.
Get your dad the Father's Day gift he really wants. SpiritedGifts.com makes it easy to send him his favorite brands of tequila, bourbon, and scotch. Make your gift a true trophy for Dad by adding a custom engraving to the bottle. Visit SpiritedGifts.com/Dan for free gift wrapping and other special offers.
Dan Le Batard.
Man, you have no journalistic responsibility.
Stugotz.
Yep, and I love it.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Guillermo put on the poll, did you know the first hockey pucks were made out of cow dung?
I mean, the goalie would stink.
Ethan Strauss with us on ESPN Radio.
What? How?
He is
made of cow dung.
He is very good at what he does. He now works for The Athletic. This company made a mistake in letting him go. Ethan Strauss with us now on ESPN Radio. Does Kevin Durant think he's better than LeBron, Ethan?
Oh, wait, I'm supposed to read Kevin Durant's mind just off the bat? That's the first question.
Well, what do you think? What do you think?
As though I was in the locker room and he pulled me aside and said, I really think I'm better than LeBron. That's not something that ever happened. I can tell you that he wants to be considered better than LeBron, that was part of the move, that he feels a very pronounced second-class citizenship over at Nike because either you're the face of the brand or you're nobody. So I know that he wants to be considered that way. And look, if I'm reading Dan's mind as opposed to Kevin Durant's mind, I would assume that Dan would insist that Kevin Durant believes he's better than LeBron because Dan is very big on the theme of athletes having supreme confidence. I have not been listening to the show in the lead-up. Am I correct on that?
Well, I just, yes, you're correct in the assessment, but I mean, he did do the Sports Illustrated cover where he's like, I'm tired of being second, and then he was the MVP of the league. My guess is that he doesn't think that there's much difference between him and LeBron. I think that he thought that this was going to go differently. I think that he thought that this was going to be more joyous, less defiant, fewer egg accounts.
I agree with that. That's true. But he's somebody, he's interesting because he has two qualities. One is that he's very sensitive. The other is that he admits to being sensitive. And usually people who are sensitive don't admit to being sensitive. I remember he was accused of it once by a writer when I was in the locker room because he was talking about what some egg account was saying about him. He'll just talk constantly, and he'll talk about what somebody on Twitter is saying at him. And the guy said, "Why are you so sensitive?" And he said, "I am sensitive, and what's wrong with that?" So he almost embraces that feeling in a way, and I agree with you. I think he thought, I don't know if he thought it would be easier necessarily, but I think that he thought it would do things for him, perhaps emotionally, that it hasn't done. If I had to make my best guess and read Kevin Durant's mind, I think a lot of people sometimes are unhappy with something, and they think that all they need is a change of scenery, and then they get the change of scenery, and the change of scenery doesn't fix everything. That's my best read on the situation.
Can I ask Radio Ethan that same question?
No, you guys would have to be paying me.
Wow. The Athletics, Ethan Strauss, he's developed a little bit. I'm
about to let you go is what I'm about to do.
He's developed, both of these guys have developed some real testicular fortitude around here. Mike, you remember when Ethan was meek? That day is done.
You know what? I'll be honest with you guys. It's not even that. It's that my infant son is in my lap, and I don't think I should be shouting in his ear right now and making him think that his father is an even worse person than he already is.
Contaminating him with sports radio talk. Did the Golden State Warriors deserve to win that series? I know. I just was stunned at the amount of misses by Houston on makeable shots, and I was stunned that the margin of error got closed so much that if Houston had merely made a few shots that they normally make, Houston wins that series. I was stunned that series was that close.
Well, it's that old quote, deserve ain't got nothing to do with it. Did they deserve it? I don't know. I know their feeling is that, talking to Warrior staffers, I heard a theme that they think that if they had Andre Iguodala healthy, they would have won in 5. But they also think that if Chris Paul was healthy, they would have lost Game 7. So that sounds about right to me. That sounds about right. I think that they probably would have won in 5. But they also, and it's a fair criticism that you have all these all-stars, you should be able to withstand the absence of an Andre Iguodala and put this Rockets team away. So as far as deserve, I'll say this. I think sometimes we don't correctly assess the playoffs, that we don't factor in fatigue, for instance, that the Rockets were playing a very fatiguing style of basketball, that this was part of the Warriors' plan, or at least part of how they did the defense they did, which was high switching. You want to ISO? Okay, you can ISO. Harden, Chris Paul, dribble. Let's see how the cumulative effect wears on you. And then at the end of it all, you see Chris Paul at the end of Game 5. Harden is scuffling, so he's just dribbling constantly. And then they start ramping up the pressure because they have Kevin Durant put Chris Paul in the post again and again, bashing on him. And then they have Sean Livingston, who doesn't play a lot of minutes, picking up Chris Paul full court at the end of the third quarter and into the fourth quarter. So, no, the Warriors didn't want to injure him, but it's not a surprise that Chris Paul broke, and then it's not a surprise at the end that the Rockets were so tired, because here's another factor we don't take into consideration. Three-pointers, they're great. I love them, you love them. High percentage shot, wonderful. They're also tiring. It's tiring to keep launching from 25 feet again and again and again when the defense expects that's what you're going to do because you don't have the mid-range game that Chris Paul provides. So I'm not surprised that they basically crapped out. So looking at it as just luck, I would reject that a little bit. I think there's more of a logic to what happened. I think we often say luck when we can't quantify what we're talking about.
Very well put, very astute, all of it. Over 27, get out of here, Ethan. Like, they weren't that tired. Like, get out of here.
That's a little bit lucky. That's a little bit unlucky.
A little bit. But what you're saying is astute. Again, the Athletics' Ethan Strauss with us on ESPN Radio. Can you explain that a little more? The idea that the blueprint was to make James Harden. James Harden's going into the offseason as, you know, he's a choker. He's not the same in the playoffs. But what you're saying makes total sense. That at the end of a 7-game series against that team at that pace, that the plan would be to wear him down. Explain that a little more by way of Steve Kerr, the way Steve Kerr explains it, that their whole effort was to make sure they were gassed at the end of games and at the end of that series.
Yeah, I'll explain it. I know what the reaction will be. It will be, hey, great philosophy, Steve. I'm sure that if I had 4 All-Stars, I wouldn't need any fancy philosophy to win a playoff series. But the Steve Kerr, the Kerrism philosophy in a playoff series is you think a playoff series is won by you winning 4 games, out of 7. Wrong. That's not how it's won. The way a playoff series is won is that you keep pushing the other team until they have nothing left, and then you take over. And if you look at the history, I think Kerr is, 4-0 when the Warriors have been trailing in a series, and the time the Warriors lost, they appeared to be expended at the end of their 73-win season, and the Cavs took over. So that's the philosophy on it, and per the Rockets, they play a very tiring brand of basketball for those two guys. It's isolation against a switching defense, and the Warriors have a switching defense, and there were benefits to that, and it nearly worked for the Rockets because you don't turn the ball over and it doesn't fuel the Warriors' transition attack, but it is incredibly tiring. It's incredibly tiring. So I know people are looking at Harden as a choker. I think we often see these guys as though they're video game characters as opposed to human beings. It's not a surprise to me that he and also Paul in his own way just felt the normal human effects of fatigue. It just makes total sense in the context of the series.
Why wouldn't Golden State feel a similar fatigue? Why was Golden State consistently better in those third quarters? Why wouldn't Golden State? Is because the weight is more evenly distributed because they've got more Hardens?
Exactly. There's more delegation. They have, A, more talent, more shot makers and creators, but B, they move the ball. They move the ball. And I saw this before Kerr came aboard, but I remember Steph Curry against the Spurs in that playoff series ended up getting hurt because it was just high pick and roll, dribble. And that's what stars want to do, by the way. I don't think it's easy to get superstars to agree to this because they like having the control. And this is sort of the push and pull, and maybe Kerr goes too far with it sometimes and doesn't let, say, Steph do what he wants to do. But their strategy more evenly distributes the offensive load. There's more ball movement. The pass, it's not as tiring as the dribbling, and so that helps them. That mitigates some of the energy burn and some of the strain, I believe. I think that's the philosophy. Whether or not that's scientifically verified is another story.
Ethan Strauss with us. Check out his work at The Athletic. Had the Warriors lost that series to the Rockets, Ethan, what do you imagine the Warriors' offseason would have looked like?
That's a great question. That's a great question. It's one we were puzzling over, and I don't have an adequate answer beyond they would have to really shake up the bench because the bench has failed them this season. They have not done well on the margins. Some of the guys they added have not worked out. So at the very least, that happens. Now, the bigger question, as far as Kevin Durant, who's made every signal until the end of the series that he's going to be coming back because he isn't under contract, whether or not he would hold that up, that is a good question. I guess I'd have to bet that he would have come back, but it would have gotten very interesting over the summer, I believe.
I just can't believe, Ethan. I really can't. Everything you're saying is right, but I can't believe that the Warriors, down 15 in the first half, that the margin for error for them was just, please don't make threes in the second half without Chris Paul. Like, that team is better than that, I thought.
Yeah, they're better than that, or they should have been better than that, but this team has never been greater than they've never been a whole as greater than the sum of its parts. It feels a little bit like that Miami situation that the two of you covered so gloriously, where you have your talent, but it doesn't necessarily gel, and I could be wrong on this, but Kevin Durant, great player. He ended the Rockets season in the fourth quarter, aside from just missing the threes on the other end. But has he ever had a true chemistry with anybody? Has he ever seemed to make a teammate better? Has he ever had a Stockton and Malone dynamic? You could argue maybe he'll develop one with Curry, but I just haven't seen that from him, and that almost extends to the rest of the team, where they've got a very Oklahoma City-esque collection of talent that doesn't necessarily gel in the way we thought it would when this experiment started 2 years ago.
We will check in with you again during the finals. Thanks for making time for us, Ethan.
Anytime, guys.
See you, man.
This is your bedroom. This is your bedroom with Blue Chew. Blue Chew uses the same active ingredients as in Viagra or Cialis, but now comes in chewable form. Chewable means better, cheaper, and works faster than pills. No in-person doctor visit, no waiting in line, no more awkwardness. 100% online at BlueChew.com, where your first order is free. Just pay $5 shipping. Use promo code DAN at BlueChew.com and restart the party.
Dan Le Batard.
Let's get it crunk up on them, happen on them, in the dancer, we got you open on the open for the
Stugotz.
Don't need no direction, holleration, so just stand for me, let's get it percolated, while you're ready, so stand for me, everybody get on up, cause you know not ready from.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Get in touch with the show anytime through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed at Le Batard Show, at Stugotz790. Dan, it is time for Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts.
Well, here's your Straight Talk. Mike, what were you looking at during the break? You were looking at your phone. Here's the Straight Talk. Russia's crazy. And go ahead and give us our latest example of Russia being crazy, Mike.
Well, obviously, we live in a tumultuous time, journalism, within our own country. But no country is it tougher being a journalist than in Russia, where several mysterious deaths have occurred, especially for those who oppose the current regime. And I'm not sure if this is related or not, but there is a Russian journalist. His name is Arkady Babchenko, and he was reported dead yesterday. There were hundreds of obituaries. It was a tragedy. He was a well-respected journalist, and he was declared murdered last night. He showed up at a press conference today saying that he had to stage his own murder in order to capture someone. And then, by the way, he apologized to his wife. The wife was not involved in this. He goes, special apologies to my wife, Olachenka. I'm sorry, but there were no options here. The operation took 2 months to prepare. I was told a month ago this, and as a result of the operation, one person has been captured. He is being held right now. So it was an effective duping, this fake murder of his, but alive and well. Good to know. Crazy story.
Straight talk. Also straight talk is Stugotz was reading Twitter. Stugotz is doing a different kind of reading during the breaks. What did you find on Twitter during the breaks, Stugotz?
Ambien said racism is not a side effect.
If you're not familiar, Roseanne Barr has lost her television show. She went to Twitter and did something dumb and racist. And the action was swift after that. She lost her show. She is now blaming Ambien, and Ambien is saying, don't put that on us. Look, man, we just help people sleep. Get out of here, fat lady. Ambien's like, get out of here.
I should stress they said not a known side effect.
Racism, not one of the effects of Ambien. Man, that would lead to a lawsuit if it was, huh? Right? You got those quick talking side effects. This causes, somebody's playing a ukulele in the background. Everyone looks happy. They're distracting you with a commercial. Side effects include anal leakage and your ears are bleed and racism. What?
Honestly, certainly my top 3 of bad side effects.
Right?
But you sort of led with 2 really strong ones that I also don't want.
Well, all right.
Why couldn't you have just trouble sleeping?
All right, go ahead.
The racism punchline would have been far more effective.
Guillermo, go ahead.
Worried about my butt and ears.
Go ahead and put it on the poll, Guillermo. Well, first of all, get one of those ads that we have where they talk really quickly with a ukulele in the back, and they hope you don't notice the string of side effects that the medicine has. But put it on the poll, Guillermo. Which would you like least as a side effect? Anal leakage, ears bleeding, racism.
Lyrica is not for everyone. It may cause serious allergic reactions or suicidal thoughts or actions. Tell your doctor right away if you have these: new or worsening depression or unusual changes in mood or behavior, or swelling, trouble breathing, rash, hives, blisters, changes in eyesight including blurry vision, muscle pain with fever or tired feeling. Common side effects are dizziness, sleepiness, weight gain, and swelling of hands, legs, and feet. Don't drink alcohol while taking Lyrica. Don't drive or use machinery until you know how Lyrica affects you. Those who have had a drug or alcohol problem may be more likely to misuse Lyrica.
Please play as many of those as you can find. I just want people to know we are addicted to all these things. CVS, you may have noticed, is growing on every corner of America. CVS has got more money than Bezos. And just play as many of these as you can where the medicine, the medicine might cure you or it might kill you.
Stelara may lower your ability to fight infections and may increase your risk of infections and cancer. Some serious infections require hospitalization. Before treatment, get tested for tuberculosis. Before starting Stelara, tell your doctor if you think you have an infection or have symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough. Always tell your doctor if you have any signs of infection, have had cancer, if you develop any new skin growths, or if anyone in your house needs or has recently received a vaccine. Alert your doctor of new or worsening problems, including headaches, seizures, confusion, and vision problems. These may be signs of a rare, potentially fatal brain condition. Some serious allergic reactions can occur. Do not take Stelara if you are allergic to Stelara or any of its ingredients.
Mike, I will not rest until you find one that has anal leakage in it. So you keep going. Because the only reason I know that phrase is because I was like, what? Somebody was playing a harp a second ago, and now they're warning me of anal leakage. What is anal leakage? I think that's how we learned what anal fissures were, because they were in one of these ads. Find as many as you can and just keep playing them until we get to anal leakage. That's the goal.
You just want them to play one until we get to anal leakage?
That is the goal of the show. It's where I learned the damn phrase.
Sex after menopause? It shouldn't have to hurt. Osphena is not for everyone and may increase your risk for uterine cancer, strokes, or blood clots, and should not be used in women with these conditions or any of the following: unusual vaginal bleeding, heart attack, severe liver problems, pregnancy, or breast cancer, as it wasn't studied. So talk to your doctor regularly about continuing Osphena. Call your doctor right away if you have unusual vaginal bleeding, changes in vision or speech.
No, close but not good enough.
Leg or chest pain.
No anal leakage.
Nope. Just play the one when you find it, the worst of all the medicines. This is the worst. And it's something that is moving across the country. It was something that started in the Midwest and is probably going to end up in California as it continues to grow and cause problems everywhere.
Playoff P has been proven to work in the regular season for those who have struggled with moderate to severe postseason disappointment. It is not recommended as a first option. Do not take Playoff P while on Granger. Side effects include choking, heaving, not finishing, constipation, finishing early, and all-around disappointment. Playoff P is not for everyone. Call your doctor if you experience susceptibility to catfishing, kissy face, Australian sensitivity, paternity suits, the inexplicable urge to play for the Lakers, or thinking that dude's butt belongs to a lady. If you experience the loss of Oladipo, please call your doctor immediately. Get headed in a new direction with Playoff P.
Don Le Batard.
Finally, Jane's Addiction frontman, Perry Farrell.
Stugotz.
Perry Farrell. Farrell. Perry Farrell.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
I know that winning championships, obviously, and the one in Cleveland is probably the one that felt best for LeBron. But what do you imagine is a better feeling, Stugotz? Hitting a game-winning shot against Toronto at the buzzer, just something feeling good inside of an athlete. Right. I don't think that LeBron has had a lot of moments that would have felt better to him than this combination. The guy who said he was the LeBron stopper or closest to the LeBron stopper is grabbing you by the shoulders. Another guy for the Celtics is coming through and getting called for goaltending. The ball is going in anyway, and at the end of that transaction, you have ended Boston's season in a silent Boston.
Yep. I think the players we've asked over the years always say doing it on the road. Like silencing that crowd is the best feeling for them in sports.
I just say that combination of things. The ball still goes in. They've goaltended and tried to grab you by the shoulders. And at the end of that, you're up against Boston by 9 or 10 and the game is over. Their season is over. Doesn't matter what the math is. It always says home team wins game 7. Doesn't matter so much. You finish them with no teammates. You finished Boston, and you finished them that way.
He's had so many moments that would make him feel, something close to that in this postseason. The Pacer last-minute shot. I mean, he's had so many big shots and big moments, but I'm with you. I think it's quieting that Celtic crowd, ending their season, doing it on their home court.
But doing it with a show of strength instead of a show of skill.
Yes.
Like which one do you imagine would feel better when it's competitionaholics facing each other? I got to imagine that feels as good as anything he's ever felt on a basketball court. I mean, after all of it, right? Marcus Morris is sitting there screaming in Tristan Thompson's face during that series. He's telling you that he's the LeBron stopper, and he's grabbing you physically by the shoulders. LeBron stopper is. And you're cheating on goaltending, and the ball still goes in.
Right.
And what you're looking around at is a Boston that is scared of you.
Yep. That's it. It's a powerful feeling,
and you finished them.
Yes. I think that's the feeling. If he had to choose one feeling, one moment from this postseason, that would be it.
Outside of the championships, I can't think of, talk about, so many locker rooms are filled with guys who are talking about the exertion of will, the exertion of strength. Ending Boston like that. I know that Stephen A. Smith doesn't like it, but I understand that conference is weak, but good Lord, that team.
He still ended their season.
And in that historic house.
Yes.
In the house of Arbach.
Yep.
And it's not the first time he's done that to you there. And the idea that if you look back on that series, and you see that none of the games were close. And every time Cleveland went to Boston, they were getting throttled. They weren't playing any defense. and then you arrive in a place where he's finishing you to get to the finals. And I don't know how we're going to talk about him or this in the coming days, but we're going to do so in a new locale. Mike, explain to people what it is that we're doing here, the people who love our show. Explain to them what we're going to be doing during Game 3 of the finals, where they can find us. They could basically watch. Everyone who's listening right now will be able to watch the game with our show. And if this series goes the way most of us expect it to, you're going to need some extra stimuli. You're going to need some extra entertainment. And during Game 3, ESPN is allowing us to provide it as an ancillary part of all of ESPN's comprehensive coverage of all things finals. You can watch the game 3 with us, right?
Yeah, we're a part of ESPN's full court press coverage when it comes to NBA Finals Game 3, which is LeBron's best chance to win a game. Let's be real. It might be the most compelling game in that series. Just another reason to watch us. If you saw us as a part of the national championship game voices broadcast, you could watch just our feed exclusively on the internet. That's what this is going to be. You're going to be able to watch us do our show around an NBA Finals game. All the usual hijinks that went along with the last time, a little bit more refined because this is not our first time doing it this time.
This is an alternative, right? You will be able to get serious coverage everywhere that you want to find it. We will be an alternative to the serious coverage. We will have some of that in there, but mostly what we will do is, what the hell is that wheel over there? Wait a minute. Fats and Info just pulled something out of I don't know where. What's that colorful wheel back there?
We had a budget this time and we blew it all on a wheel.
Nice.
Yeah. Last time we had to borrow a wheel from a local radio station, $7.90 the ticket. This time we got our own wheel.
Well, what are some of the other things that we're going to be doing? I saw a drinking contest of some sort. I saw
no, that was just a text that you sent to me personally, saying that you were going to have your own drinking contest.
I'm in. That's it.
But we have a wheel with all sorts of fun games on it. Don't want to give everything away. Amin Al-Hassan will be rolling by the studio to further enhance our credibility when it comes to basketball. I'm sure he won't be a sore loser at all with some of these games that we're going to be playing throughout the game. It should be fun. It could also be a disaster, but either way, it's a second screen viewing experience, so the expectations really aren't that high. We're doing this so we can win the Emmy we rightfully deserve, because we lost the last time.
Yep. It's an outrage. Is Fat Chris going to juggle again?
No, but we are trying. We have a better idea, and we're still in negotiations. We have a conference call where we're trying to get the remaining budget. Most of it was spent on that wheel, but I believe we have $15 left over, and we want to spend it on a magician.
Yes!
Nice.
Really? I like the idea of someone doing magic. I like the idea.
And I'm only revealing this
great.
because I'm kind of hoping I can get a magician/clown. If you do both, that's a plus too. Yeah. Because we want to put a clown option on the wheel. We want to put a clown option on the wheel, and it would really help if the magician can also double as a clown.
Pro bono.
Also, pro bono. We'll need a severe background check because clowns scare Stugotz.
Yes. Good exposure, though, right?
Excellent exposure.
Yeah.
So the last time we did this during the national championship game, and Stugotz has something for Nick Saban that we'll be getting to in the next segment. The last time we did this, the halftime show was the actual Kenny G performing. Hopefully we can do something that is the equivalent this time.
Yeah, Kenny G performed live for us during the halftime show while an orange Chris Cody, not his usual shade of orange, an oranger, morange.
The actual Chris Cody.
Yeah, juggled oranges. It was actually, when you look back on it, I'm not sure that was a part of the Emmy reel. It should have been. Oh, yeah. We would have won.
Yeah.
I got my oranges. I'm ready for Game 3 if you guys need it.
All right. So what night is Game 3?
Wednesday.
This will be Wednesday. Does that work for you?
It's a good time to ask me. Okay.
I'll let you know.
So that's next Wednesday. All right. Very good. So prepare for that. All of you just start tailgating right now. Right now, prepare for Wednesday night, Game 3. The series will be over by then.
I think I have a lacrosse mitzvah.
Dame más gasolina.
Stugotz has something for Nick Saban in the next segment.
Yeah.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like a whole new person.
Disclaimer, you will not become a whole new person. This is impossible. You might be able to join a gym or diet program, buy a new wardrobe, get hair implants, but your DNA and physical form will remain the same. Geico waives any and all liability if you attempt to become a new person, except a cyborg. If you choose to become a half-human, half-cybernetic organism with lasers for eyes, the Geico legal team would be cool with that, because, quote, laser eyes are pretty sweet. Pew, 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 end quote.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Don Le Batard.
I feel terrible.
Here's the thing with you. You don't actually feel terrible.
I didn't feel a thing, to be honest with you. I don't really care.
I know. You announcing I feel terrible is just your way to move on to the next terrible thing you're going to do.
Stugotz.
They're just words, and words mean nothing to you.
They don't mean nothing. His words mean nothing.
Words are just transitions to your next lie.
That's so right. They're not words. They are bridges to lies.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
I am going to give you guys a closer than you'd like behind-the-scenes look at what happens around here, because Stugotz is blissfully unaware of the amount of rage that he leaves in his wake. And so what happened during the commercial break is the entire crew of people who are here to serve him, me included, were trying to ask him a very simple question and asked it 4 times.
Really?
Which Saban sound do you want? Do you want the sound of him about transfers, talking about transfers, or do you want the sound of him complaining about headsets? And as we're all waiting for an answer, no one can hear each other because Stugotz just keeps refreshing his Twitter account, the thing that he did that was funny 2 hours ago, self-obsessed, and just blurts into the other room as all of us are trying to get prepared for the next segment so we can all lift him up onto the magic carpet where he resides, doing nothing but being lazy and telling lies.
Thank you.
And he says, guys, do you think it was Henke? Is it 72%? Do you think the Colangelo story was about Henke? And so this, no, wait a minute. I'm not done with you
I just
yet.
like to keep everyone updated on the poll.
Hold on a second. As that happens, okay, we break down the barrier of ignorance and self-absorption.
Thank you.
And say to Stugotz, we're asking you which sound you want on Saban. And his immediate pivot after a lifetime doing this is, guys, really? You don't know what my take is on this yet? And that's fair. That's fair criticism from him. Guillermo at that point was sided with Stugotz. He's like, you know what? There we know. We've known this creature for long enough. So go ahead, Mike. Play the sound that he wanted without asking him, and we all know what the take is going to be. Let's do it. Let's play one of our old and greatest hits.
Then we should change the rule. I don't think it should be on me. I think we should change the rule. If we agree in the SEC at these meetings that we're going to have free agency in our league and everybody can go wherever they want to go when they graduate, and that's what's best for the game, then I think that's what we should do. Then Brandon Kennedy can go wherever he wants to go. But if we don't do that, why is it on me? Because we have a conference rule that says he can't do it. And he can do it, but he's supposed to sit out for a year. So why is it on me? It's not even my decision. It's a conference rule. I always give people releases. And he has a release to go wherever he wants to go, but the conference rule says he can't go in the conference. So why is that on me?
It's on you because you're Nick Saban. It's on you because you think we're dumb. It's insane that Nick Saban does not think that we're paying attention here. It is completely on you because Nick Saban, yes, it is an SEC rule. Yes, the coaches vote on this rule. The coaches should not be voting on this particular rule. Nick Saban carries a lot of weight within that conference. There is a loophole here, though. Nick Saban can sign and provide a waiver that allows a kid to leave Alabama and play at another SEC school. And I just don't get what Nick is doing here. Like, get off your high horse. I'm tired of it. It's condescending. We're all paying attention. Most of us know the rules here. You can allow a kid to leave Alabama and play for Georgia if you allow him to do so by signing a transfer, by signing a waiver. You allowed Kirby Smart to do it, but you won't allow one of your kids to do it. And Nick Saban, I'm telling you, you should be ashamed of yourself because this is about the kids. It's not about Nick Saban. Those kids are working hard. And And if they're not going to get the playing time at Alabama and they want to go to another school like Auburn or an SEC school because maybe it's close to home, because maybe that was their second choice, they should have the ability to do so. Don't blame the SEC, Saban. This is on you. It's not Saban. He has the ability to sign a waiver that allows a kid to leave his school and play for another SEC school, but he won't do it. Why? Because that does not help the business of Nick Saban. Forget about whether or not it helps the business of that kid. It does not help the business of Nick Saban, and he should be ashamed of himself. I'm serious. Why can coaches do what players can't? I don't get it. And the players aren't getting paid, and the coaches are.
And there it is. The recycled take that he's been given. Pay the players.
And pay the teachers.
Coaches can do it. Pay the teachers.
And save a whale.
Save all the whales.
And let's end world hunger.
Yes. And famine.
Felt good.
We're just saving a whale.
A whale. He wants
just
to save only a whale.
Yep.
A whale.
We'll start with one, and we'll work our way to others.
All right.
You agree?
So pay the players and the coaches. That's not something anyone's ever heard before.
No.
You know, that it's not fair. That
I'm just tired of his act. I mean, that's all.
Oh, another greatest hit. Stugotz is tired of something.
We'll release an album.
What would be that? Oh, Mike, get into negotiations on that. The Stugotz album of greatest hits takes everywhere.
80-20.
I'm so tired of everything.
Stugotz here for 4hims.com. Man, getting old stinks. It really does. I'm getting up there in age. Hair starting to fall out. It is an absolute mess. Did you know that 66% of men lose their hair by the age of 35? Thing is, when you start to notice hair loss, it's too late. Do you want a bald spot to pop up, or do you want to do something about it first? That's why you need to visit 4hims.com, a one-stop shop for hair loss, skin care, and other wellness supplements for men. Genius. Thanks to science, baldness can be optional. Hims connects you with real doctors and medical-grade solutions to treat hair loss. They have well-known generic equivalents to the name-brand prescriptions to help you keep your hair. No snake oil pills or gas station counter supplements. Instead, prescription solutions backed by science. No waiting room, no awkward doctor visits. Save hours by going to 4hims.com. Just answer a few quick questions. The doctor will review your answers and give you a prescription, and products are shipped directly to your door. It is that easy. It is that convenient. It is awesome. Order today, and our listeners get a trial month of Hims for just $5 while supplies last. See website for full details. This would cost hundreds if you went to the doctor or a pharmacy. Go to 4hims.com/Lebitard. That's FORHIMS.com/Lebitard. 4hims.com/Lebitard.
Get your dad the Father's Day gift he really wants. SpiritedGifts.com makes it easy to send him his favorite brands of tequila, bourbon, and scotch. Make your gift a true trophy for Dad by adding a custom engraving to the bottle. Visit SpiritedGifts.com/Dan for free gift wrapping and other special offers.
Don Lebatard.
It's Rich Eisen stealing my material. It is Jimmy Traina stealing my material. Hey, get out of here, man.
Who is that? Who is Jimmy Traina?
He's a media writer, I think, out of New York, who I happen to like.
Stugotz.
Like
there it is. There it is. The pivot of the Stugotz into schmarmy salesperson.
No, I happen to like Jimmy. Like, I don't know Jimmy, but I happen to like Jimmy. Jimmy Traina sounds like a guy I would hang out with.
It does. I think you're pronouncing his name wrong, by the way, but keep it moving.
Oh, whatever. I like Jimmy.
This is the Don Lebatard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
I found interesting, I have not seen much of the show that Chris Carter does with Nick Wright, but Chris Carter goes after athletes pretty strong, and he went after James Harden very strong, and he went after Kevin Durant pretty strong. And I just found interesting that he was lobbing at them the same criticism that he wouldn't have liked very much as a person who never won a championship. Maybe he thinks the sports are different. But what Ethan Strauss told us about James Harden was very reasonable, which is the entire Warrior philosophy, and this is the best team of basketball players I've ever seen assembled, that their entire philosophy was just wear him down they broke Chris Paul's body. And at the end, James Harden, all his shots were short. That it was rope-a-dope. It's what Ali did to Foreman. It's just exhaust him.
Right.
You're going to get him in the second half. You're going to wear him down over the course of the game. It was very reasonable as a game plan. And when you have the best players, it is something that makes sense that by the end, the other guys at that pace would be exhausted.
Well, the other guys, that one guy in particular, in James Harden.
But I'm saying the idea that Chris Carter wouldn't use context there and would just shred James Harden. And James Harden didn't play well at the end of games, but there's a pretty reasonable explanation. Their team has all the great players, and at the very end, I ain't got my best teammate. Like that's, to me, that's really, there's some reasonable context there for what happened to James Harden at the end. He didn't have any problems in game one. He never has any problems in game one. In game one, James Harden is strong. Over the course of the series, that'll wear you down. And every guy in basketball will tell you, when the shot's short, your legs are done. And you saw how often in that series, at the end, James Harden was just, it was front of the rim. And he's dribbling, and he's playing iso ball, and I can understand how that would be context that would matter when you're shredding somebody for, in that series, scoring only 11 points on 40% shooting in second halves.
I just don't think, I could be wrong here, I don't think fans want to hear that. Chris Carter goes after James Harden because James Harden is the MVP and the superstar and the guy that we always talk about. And he gets all the praise if they go on to beat the Golden State
I know,
Warriors.
But he's questioning, today he was questioning the leadership of Kevin Durant, and I'm thinking he wouldn't have liked that very much back when he was trying to lead Randy Moss.
Right. And he definitely would not have liked that back in the...
I just thought interesting that he doesn't want to hold up a mirror, because that, if any of us filed that criticism on Chris Carter, hey, you never won anything. You're not a leader. What's your legacy? I mean, you could say Hall of Famer.
Right.
But James Harden's that too. And frankly, James Harden and Kevin Durant are better at what they do than Chris Carter was at what he does.
But it's such a different sport from this regard. And you've said this forever, where one guy means more in that sport than any other sport. I mean, Chris Carter's not on the, he's not on the field the entire time. There's a defense he has to rely on. There are special teams. There's an offensive line. I mean, the Rockets, it's sink or swim with James Harden. He's the guy. That's it. I mean, it's one guy. That's the way we've always done it in the NBA.
Man, Chris Carter might have been better at what he does than what James Harden is. And that's a pretty good player comparison. Where's Chris Carter on the all-time receptions list?
Look, he's a Hall of Famer. I am not disputing the credentials of Chris Carter. I think of Chris Carter as James Harden. Chris Carter ain't winning no MVPs.
No.
But
Chris Carter can't control, James Harden has control over most situations. He can't control, obviously, if Trevor Ariza hits a shot, but he doesn't have to pass the ball to Trevor Ariza. Chris Carter can't control that Anderson misses a field goal and prevents that team from going to the
James
Super Bowl.
Harden, his peers have called him the best player in the league, by a most valuable player in the league. That's something that Chris Carter never got. Or got close to.
No, he's 6th all-time in when it comes to receptions in the NFL. In its history.
He's a Hall of Famer. I'm not disputing that. James Harden's really good at what he does too, though. And again, what Ethan Strauss came on told us, and he's more informed than most because he spends times around these teams, and he's astute, and he talks to these people, that the whole game plan of the Warriors is, we will wear you down. We will crush the soul and the legs of your best player by asking him to do too much all game. Chris Paul's body broke under the burden. His body shut down. His body betrayed him. Nobody playing in those games wanted that more than Chris Paul. And at the end, his body broke.
But is that because of the Warriors, or is that because his body's broken? Chris Paul's always getting injured.
It can be both.
Right. It was kind of a fluky play there at the end of a game, right?
But it can be both.
Yeah,
like I am willing to believe that the Warriors' game plan was, hey, in the second half, we are going to make it so that we're not playing against your best effort. We're going to be playing against your most fatigued one. I just remember in one of the games that Steve Kerr was saying, I got to get Clay some rest. Here is LeBron is playing all the minutes in a game 7. Steve Kerr is doing a sideline interview where he's saying, I've got to distribute the weight. I got to get Clay some rest. What the hell's Clay doing? Clay's playing defense on James Harden, so he needs the rest. But Clay's got the weight evenly distributed with Durant and Draymond Green and Steph Curry, while at the end playing against the best basketball team I've ever seen. James Harden didn't have anything left.
Yeah, and they're not just missing Chris Paul's scoring output. Think about how they design their offense, which is ISO ball. It's either ISO from James Harden or ISO from Chris Paul. That's a breather that James Harden can get on the offensive end, a way to sort of sneak a breather in while you're playing when Chris Paul has the ball, considering their offense.
It's also, I think, a lot of Rocket fans are getting on Mike D'Antoni. It's funny how this works, right? They love him the entire season, and the second they lose, they come after him because they are. And Houston radio hosts are as well.
It's a fair criticism.
Because he doesn't bring in, like, if everyone's gassed, why not bring in Ryan Anderson, who's a great shooter? See if he can hit a couple of shots. Dan, just see if he can hit a couple of shots.
Stugotz.
He played 6 people.
Stugotz. That is a fair criticism that he panicked and his bench got too short and he's playing 7 guys and Gerald Green's playing for 12 minutes. It's fair that he ran his guys into the ground. But when you come at me with Anderson, you clearly weren't watching what Steph Curry was doing to Anderson, where he looked like me out there. Anderson looked cement-footed. Steph Curry he had to play Steph Curry tight because he's going to make the 3. And if you play him tight, he's going to blow by you every single time and just nuke your defense in the paint. Like Ryan Anderson, they put Anderson out there and he was out there for the 6 minutes he was out there and all Golden State did was attack him and furthermore didn't take a shot either. Because Golden State wasn't allowing him to take the shot.
It was 8 minutes, which I guess 2 minutes too many, but it was 8 minutes and he had 3 fouls.
And
no shots.
No, and he clearly didn't
put him in there to shoot. So see if he can hit you a couple of threes and then go from there. I'm just saying, he limited the bench. Dan, there was no bench.
Agreed.
Those guys are gassed in part because Mike D'Antoni abandoned what he did during the regular season.
That is fair, but there was no bench, at least in part because Chris Paul left the game and because Joe Johnson was on that bench, and they tried him in Game 7 too.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
I bet he tried him.
Yeah, but you got to try anything at that point. But it's Game 7.
The real problem is that he didn't play in Bamute.
He did try anything.
Yeah, but he didn't try for long enough.
Try Bamute.
No, they tried that earlier in the series.
They did?
Tried it in Game 7.
Right. And we've all got the answers today.
It's win or go home.
We've got all the answers today. I think
they were already home, but I mean, it's win or go home.
The idea, it's win or go to the strip club.
Yeah.
If you're James Harden, which is his home.
That's what we should call it now. If you lose in Game 7 on your own.
As anyone else, I feel like the national media needs to descend upon the story that the Golden State Warriors are built imperfectly. Why do they have so many centers? Why do they had so many? Like, why is David West out there playing? Why is he out there playing when he shouldn't be in that game as merely a power forward? And you can't, how many centers do the Golden State Warriors not use?
They did not use 2 of their centers in Game 7. They did play Bell for 16 minutes. They have 4 centers.
Is it 4 or is it 5?
Iguodala needs to come back because pretty soon I'm going to have to learn Loney and McCaw's name soon. Is it even Loney or is it Looney?
It's also not Kevin. It's Kevon.
Is it?
Yes.
Really?
I don't even know his last name.
Dame más gasolina.
We got to get back to this Colangelo story. Is he still employed?
Well, you said the national media should do something about this. They're a little distracted today.
All right, we'll get back to this Colangelo story. If you have not heard it, it's crazy.
This is your bedroom. This is your bedroom with Blue Chew. Blue Chew uses the same active ingredients as in Viagra or Cialis, but now comes in chewable form. Chewable means better, cheaper, and works faster than pills. No in-person doctor visit, no waiting in line. No more awkwardness. 100% online at BlueChew.com, where your first order is free. Just pay $5 shipping. Use promo code DAN at BlueChew.com and restart the party.
Dan Le Batard.
How has ESPN allowed this?
Stugotz.
They're talking sports, going at it as hard as they can.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Happy 53rd birthday to Billy Donovan.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Mike, do you happen to have some Mike Leach sound back there that we can all enjoy together?
I do, Dan, and it's courtesy of at SWX Lindsay Joy on Twitter.
There were monkeys everywhere, and where there were a large number of monkeys, they made it clear that you shouldn't leave your belongings laying around because the monkeys will like them, take your belongings and climb a tree with them, and you might not see them again.
Would you ever consider that as a pet?
I always wanted one when I was a kid. My parents made it clear what a horrible idea they thought that was, and of the people I've run across that either had pet monkeys or used to have one, the evaluations are mixed. Pretty high maintenance. They say it's like having a child, and it's not so much. Obviously you got to feed a monkey and things like that. I think that the capacity of things that they can get into, I think, is one thing that people have had some trouble with.
Mike, can you get the sound of him clearing his throat and make it into a song for the next segment? And before you do that, can you please find for us the story of former NBA player Mike Miller, Miami Heat, Denver Nuggets? How many teams did he play for, Stugotz? How many teams did Mike Miller play for?
I want to say like 5 or 6. I'll check it out right now.
Mike Miller. We like Mike Miller. We like him in part because he told this story about his own pet monkey.
I'll give you a great story. We go, me and my wife, at the time I'm in Orlando, Florida, we go to dinner, and we put Sonny up in his room, we put our dogs outside, and we get a call about an hour later from some of our neighbors telling me that my dogs and my monkey are walking around the neighborhood. My monkey ended up getting out of his room, let my dogs in the house and out. And I came home and he was riding my Great Danes down the sidewalk.
He was on the back of him?
Needless to say, I wasn't a favorite in the neighborhood anymore.
That is so great. So Mike Leach was on a trip to Cambodia and Taiwan when he encountered the thieving monkeys.
7 teams for Miller.
7 teams for Mike Miller. Thank you.
Knew you were waiting on it. Very important detail.
The big NBA story of the day today is the curious case of Bryan Colangelo and the secret Twitter account. It's from The Ringer. It seems to be pretty solid reporting. The Philadelphia 76ers are independently investigating whether their team president was on Twitter on fake accounts defending himself and criticizing his players. That executive is 52 years old. Now, if he is guilty of this, wow, does it stink. And if he is not guilty of this, wow, does it stink. Like, can you imagine? Like, right now, many of us don't know anything about this person. We know that he's the least famous Colangelo.
I'm rooting for not guilty on Colangelo because that's a better story. It's just because if it's not Colangelo, then who is it? And I'm going all in with Sam Hinkie.
Also, he's no longer the least famous Colangelo. He's climbed the top of the Colangelo mountain.
Oh, I disagree. Jerry Colangelo assembled a dream team. That can't be true.
No, today he is the biggest Colangelo.
Now?
Yes.
You mean today after today?
Yes, after
he
today.
Is
yes.
Okay. Officially.
And I'm not certain Dad's happy about it. I don't know.
Top of the Colangelo mountain.
The Colangelo name is a basketball royalty name, but it's a royalty name because of his father. And this person got his job, at least in part, because of his father. The NBA gifted. I'm not saying he wasn't qualified. I'm saying he got his qualifications because of the name and his father. The idea that a 52-year-old would be behaving this way, it would really stink if it's not true, but not as much as it would stink for him if it is true. Yeah. If it is true, can you imagine? Right now, Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that Colangelo is calling all of these players and telling them himself that he denies everything. But if it's proven that he's a liar on top of an insecure dope,
he doesn't work again in the NBA, right?
He's going to get immediately fired. I don't think I don't know enough about social media. I read the story. The reporting is solid. The reporting is damning. The reporting shows somebody trying to cover their tracks as soon as the reporter called the 76ers by, making accounts private. All of these accounts The way the reporter did it is he called the 76ers about 2 accounts, knowing that there were 5. And then as soon as he called about the 2 accounts, the 5 became private. And so one wonders if this is true or not based on circumstantial evidence. ESPN is stuck in a position where we are sitting here reporting something that is based on circumstantial evidence that is damning. But we don't know if it's true. And the Sixers don't know if it's true. And the guy in the middle of it is denying it every turn. And man, it would stink to have this not be true, denying it to everybody. We're not going to print the retraction with the same force, but I just don't think that once you're into the investigative portions of this and once it looks as fishy as it does, I can't see this guy who's this close to the basketball throne and a job for 10 years. Because if that team doesn't get hurt, that team's going to matter for 10 years.
Maybe longer, Dan. It's crazy.
I know a lot of the evidence is circumstantial, and look, a lot of people on Twitter are assuming that this is Bryan Colangelo, but we are in an era of catfishing, and a lot of the circumstantial evidence is stuff that I would do if I were trying to pretend I were Bryan Colangelo.
Well, go ahead and throw your your ridiculous Sam Hinkie theory out there, Stugotz, that the reporter from The Ringer is saying that the original source is someone who comes from AI, not Allen Iverson, artificial intelligence.
Right.
And Sam Hinkie comes from artificial intelligence. So the idea that the former general manager of the 76ers framed the current president of the 76ers is delicious.
I think we're on to something, because what also happened here is this account followed all of the Colangelos, everyone, far and wide.
College teammates of Colangelo.
College teammates, his former university, everything. It's so obvious that this could be Bryan Colangelo that I am therefore forced to think it is not Bryan Colangelo and it is Sam Hinkie.
I love the idea of Sam Hinkie framing Colangelo.
Yeah, following his kids, following the university, taking interest in all the things that Colangelo actually has interest in.
Literally following his kids. like a whole obsessed stalker situation.
There are sleuths out there that have certain emails that have some sort of variation of birthdays on here, and these are all things that can be done with very simple Google searches. I'm not ready to say this is Bryan Colangelo, people.
Yep. And if it's not, then you have to ask yourself who would benefit most from Bryan Colangelo being fired. I mean, that's it. So you have to ask yourself, would it be Sam Hinkie?
Or would it be LeBron?
What? Oh, David Griffin. It could be Griff.
Listen to me. We need to stay on the air until we can break the whodunit and the Philadelphia internal investigation has revealed that the culprit of the egg accounts is indeed Sam Hinkie.
Don Le Batard.
Stugotz is a liar.
What happened?
Stugotz.
Well, we know this about you. It's not what happened. It's a statement of fact. You're someone who lies so much that you can be correctly identified as a liar. Yes, I don't. Did you even dispute that?
No, I don't.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So this happened during the break. True story. The radio station, ESPN Radio, is playing here all the time. And we are listening to the commercials in here as they play. And Stugotz often argues with the commercials and the sound that's being played by ESPN Radio.
They don't talk back.
And Stugotz comes in here, and at the end of a very long day where he has been at his obsessive-compulsive worst, Stugotz comes in here and just, again, because he feels the need to give me his opinions on everything, says, I don't think there's a woman in the world that LeBron James admires more than Doris Burke. Now, I'm preparing for the next segment because these 4 hours here every day don't get done by themselves. And he just keeps saying it again and again, making the different arguments where he's like, more than his mother, more than his wife, Doris Burke is what he loves the most.
He always has time for Doris.
What he respects the most. He always calls
her by name.
Right. And so I'm busy in some papers and trying to figure out what we're going to do next. And Stugotz just, the way that I know that he has left the room is because his last words are the following. I'm sorry, I'm so annoying.
I have been at an all-time annoyance level for you today, and now it's late in the proceedings, but I do apologize. You only have to endure for like 20 more minutes.
You have been talking
I'm out of my mind.
at everyone for 3.5 hours nonstop. Like the ears on your head are not being used. You are simply talking at everyone.
We haven't covered half of it. I'm going to crash so hard when the show is over.
It's been amazing. I do not like being this close to your frenetic mind.
It's once in a while, right? I've been better lately, but every now and then, today's bad.
This is an all-time worst. You have been talking at everyone, giving your opinions to everyone all show long. The microphone's not enough. He's insatiable. Like, it's not enough that he's got a 4-hour radio show. You should have heard him when he was done ripping Nick Saban. He's like, "Ooh, that felt good." Like, we go to commercial, and he goes to his corner like a boxer who's had a good round. He's like, "Woo, that was good."
I'm sorry, man.
You're not, though.
I know I am today.
So, this is a story from ESPN.com. We've talked precious little anthem around here. I couldn't be more tired of the subject because it's ceased to be about what it's about, which is racial injustice. It's become about a flag and respect and all sorts of other nonsense. It's become a ridiculous idea that ratings are down because the NFL players were kneeling, but now they've made the rules such that they're not even allowing for the fact that a whole lot of black people are now going to stop watching the NFL because of how offensive it is that you've literally blackballed Colin Kaepernick. But so now the latest story on this, and I'm bringing it to you just because it's news and because Colin Kaepernick's got a pretty good chance of winning this collusion case. This is from ESPN.com. Several NFL owners said in depositions, and good Lord knows they didn't want to be in those depositions, that President Donald Trump factored into conversations on how to handle players protesting during the national anthem. The Wall Street Journal is reporting. While testifying as part of the Colin Kaepernick collusion case, Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said Trump spoke with him about the anthem, calling it a very winning, strong issue for me. Tell everybody you can't win this one. This one lifts me, Jones said Trump told him. The Journal also reported that Dolphins owner Stephen Ross testified that Patriots owner Bob Kraft had also discussed the anthem with Trump. And Jerry Jones also testified, quote, "Let's not give him that much credit," according to the Journal, "but I recognize he's the president of the United States." So I don't know where this thing is going to end up. But, I mean, I think Colin Kaepernick's got a pretty good collusion case.
He does. I think Eric Reed might have one as well along the way.
Yeah. Right? So that's where we are with that stuff. Mike, yesterday, people really enjoyed a parade of gas bags that we played. Let's play another one. What is this before? What was the end result of this season that came after this sound?
This is a parade of gas bags, and we had about 12 from this particular season, from when the Cavs overcame a 3-1 deficit to the Golden State Warriors.
All right.
We find it apropos.
Okay, so last time the Cavs were in this position, I don't even know if coming back from 3-1 is longer odds than the odds they now face. They face some of the longest odds in the history of the start of a finals. But the Cavs won this season. Listen to what everyone, the gas bags, had to say as prediction radio as the Cavs were down.
You made your own bed.
Yep.
Sleep in it.
Mm-hmm.
Jerk.
Yep. He's a jerk.
This coward knew that he wouldn't catch Jordan. Here, it would have been as many titles as you possibly can get. Maximum pressure. Now, he left so he can only get one and have his legacy. Congrats, Bron. Easy way out.
Mm-hmm.
The length, the size, the athleticism, the compilation of it all being thrown at you in droves just appeared to be too much for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
This is just what it looks like when you get absolutely obliterated and blown up. The Warriors are this good, and LeBron, as good as he is, just is not a match when he's outnumbered in this way.
I don't know if the Cavs can go forward with two of their first three best players being minus defenders.
I think it's pretty simple. The Warriors are head and shoulders above Cleveland.
I question the mental makeup. Are they going to be mentally tough enough when they're in somebody else's barn and
things go tough and there's a 10-0 run on them and they lose the lead.
I think that the problem is Kyrie Irving. That's the guy that got to hit the base. He ain't doing anything.
When I look at Golden State, I go, could they ever get arrogant enough that they lose 4 of the next 5? No.
I mean, listen, he swaggered back to Cleveland thinking he had all the answers. Thought he could be the coach, thought he could be the GM, thought he could be part owner. And you know what? He had most of the answers, but he didn't have all of them.
They're showing you can believe in them, but you can't depend on them. See, that's the problem. Champions, it's both. You believe in them and you depend on them. Wannabe champions, you can believe in them, but you can't depend on them.
Washing my nose, oh yeah.
I'm a shower curtain, and I do one thing. Keep water from leaking everywhere. So you see why I feel useless compared to Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could Geico save you money, but they've been around for over 75 years. And they give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or on the Geico app. And they've got a 97% customer satisfaction rating. They do all this while I have to listen to this chucklehead. Oh, good, he stopped.
Washing my toes.
Oh, great, an encore.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Don Le Batard.
Did you know that Jose Canseco's finger fell off during a poker game?
We did a good show today, man.
68% of the audience said no. That's all we got today.
Is that all?
Our job is done.
Stugotz.
That's a quality program we put together.
Good job, everyone.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Today's NBA conversations have been brought to you by Dell. During Small Business Month, Dell is offering up to 40% off select PCs with 8th Gen Intel Core processors. Call 877-BUY-DELL to speak with a small business technology advisor today.
Stugotz, in his infinite annoyance, said to me during the break, Dan, Ed Malloy has been named one of the NBA referees for the finals. It's useless information largely unless you're a degenerate, but we do have some good sound that we play word association with as it relates to Ed Malloy.
Down by 2, 198, inbound to Love on the left side with one dribble, goes up for the shot, it's blocked by Marion, the ball comes into the arms of Dalembert, the horn sounds and the ball game is over. The Timberwolves are screaming for a foul, there was none called. Rubio off to Love. Oh, that's a foul! That is unbelievable. The referees are booed as they go off the floor. Brutal! David Guthrie is right there. He didn't have the guts to call it. Also, go Ed Malloy!
That's why I told you. I mean, imagine we didn't have that sound, and I told you Ed Malloy was a referee in the NBA Finals.
Ed Malloy! It's what you've been doing all day.
I'm sorry.
It's what you've been doing nonstop. That we can have sound to cover you up doesn't make it that you meant to bring us fond memories of Ed Malloy.
Go Ed Malloy!
Ambien. I'm sorry.
It is. It's the Ambien. It's why Stugotz was racist today. Let's update the polls at Le Batard Show. Also, all those NFL owners in that deposition, they all took Ambien. Go ahead and update the polls, Stugotz.
At Le Batard Show on Twitter, can LeBron get pop fired? I thought this was the best question of the day. 52% of the audience said yes. If LeBron wanted to go to the Spurs but no pop, you can get him fired. That's ridiculous. Do you think it was Henke? 74% of the audience said yes. Was that irresponsible?
Of accusing Henke. Yeah, accusing Henke of Colangelo's alleged circumstantial crimes.
82% of the audience said yes.
Well, 74% agreed, though.
Should the ball bouncing off of Jose Canseco's head have been a home run or an error?
That's an important question.
It's close, man. A lot of votes, too. 51% of the audience say it's a home run.
It's close. Yeah. Give it to the end of the day.
All right. Would the Warriors win the title if Steve Kerr was playing for them in a suit for 15 minutes a night? 85% of the audience said yes.
I agree with that. I feel like you could hide him for 15 minutes.
Does he have basketball shoes?
No.
No, he has to wear the suit and the shoes, the dress shoes?
Yeah, but you'll hide him. Just put him.
Oh, I think he'd still hit threes in a suit and shoes.
He would guard Korver and dare him to drive. I know your game, Korver. I had it. It greeted me in a mirror when I played. When I played with Michael Jordan.
He does have back issues.
That's true.
Yep.
Good point.
Does Bryan Colangelo survive today with his job? 68% of the audience said no. Did you know the first hockey pucks were made of cow dung? 90% of the audience said no. Which side effect would you like least? Your choices here were anal leakage, ears bleeding, and racism. 60% of the audience said anal leakage.
Wow. Anal leakage is worse than racism. I believe our polls are culturally biased. That's a whole lot of white people voting right there is what that is.
How many people picked ears bleeding?
9%.
Just curious.
Again, Roseanne lost her television show. She blamed Ambien. Ambien came out and said, hey, we have side effects, but they're not racism.
They actually had a spokesperson go
That's
on
right.
CNN.
That's right. Look, we've got some side effects. We'll help you sleep, but one of the things that we don't have is racism.
Stugotz has so much food stuck in his teeth. It's
Oh,
distracting.
yeah. You know what? I had a tooth extracted, and so what's happened, there's a big gap, and now I'm just finding big chunks of food getting stuck in that gap. It's weird.
When did you have a tooth extracted?
It was like 5 months ago. I'm going to get it filled. They told me it was like a meaningless tooth, and they just said, listen, you can either leave the gap there, but some food's going to get stuck in there, or we can replace it. And I said, I'll just leave the gap in there. It's useless. No one can see it. You can't see it when I smile, but you can see the chicken cutlet in my mouth. See it?
I mean,
it's out now.
It's not enough for you to be annoying, right?
I'm
You're the
bad.
foulest human being walking the planet. There are actually things outside of the species that you're fouler than. Like, it's not just, I wouldn't limit you just to the classification of foulest human being. I'd go entire animal kingdom.
So would I.
So you're just living without a tooth?
Yeah, no tooth.
Yeah, I just replaced it with a cutlet.